Hello again, this is Miss Dagenford, and we're going to finish up our carbon compounds with nucleic acids. Now, where we were in our previous lesson, we were talking about amino acids. Now, the hallmark of amino acids, remember, was the nitrogen carbon carbon, NCC. And what we ended up doing was just bonding more amino acids together to build a protein. But the big takeaway from that is the big strand of amino acids can fold in to make a three-dimensional shape. Now, the shape is going to come back in our nucleic acids because some of you will recognize this as DNA, and you've probably talked about DNA before. So let me go ahead and present this so you guys can see it a little bit bigger. So, over here on the left for my notes, what we end up having for now, we have two types of DNA. I'm sorry, two types of nucleic acids. We have DNA and RNA. Now, DNA and RNA would be the long polymers of our nucleic acids. So the polymer is DNA, and the polymer is also RNA. Those are two types. But the monomer would be a nucleotide. So let's go over this. And this guy looks kind of overwhelming. But because we're going to have a whole unit of DNA, this is going to be the shortest that I'm going to show you with our carbon compounds. So DNA and RNA would be made up of individual monomers of nucleotides that are just connected together. And so notice a nucleotide has a phosphate group. It has a 5-carbon sugar. And then we have this base. In this case, it's called adenine, but there are different types of bases. And this base has carbon and nitrogen. That's kind of the long, big complexity of this. But really, if you see these three things together, that would be a nucleotide. And then what we do to make DNA would be to just keep connecting them together. Now, I have a model of DNA here, and you can see the pattern. Notice we've got a sugar, a phosphate, and then a nucleotide here. Let me make sure you can see that. So what I'm holding in my fingers right there, that is one nucleotide, phosphate, sugar, and then that's the base. And then I could go down one more. I'd have another phosphate, sugar, phosphate, and then another base. So notice, and you can see the colors here repeat. We have the sugar and the phosphate on the outside repeating, and then we have the bases on the inside. But I could pull them apart if I wanted to. Let me see if I can do this real carefully. And then show you just one of these would be a nucleotide. But I've just put them all together, and that ends up being a nucleic acid. So the polymer would be DNA or RNA, and then the monomer is a nucleotide, and you just should be able to recognize. So really what's important here would be what's in the blue. I just wanted to show you some other diagrams, but we're going to do that when we talk about DNA. So this is a real short lesson just to really kind of compare all four of our organic molecules. And nucleic acid, again, it has a sugar in it, and then it has the phosphate, and then it has the base. The only difference between DNA and RNA right now that I just want you to notice, RNA has ribose sugar, DNA has deoxyribose. And then you can just see on this bottom picture, again, if we connect them together, we get a polymer. So you've got this big, here's one, yellow, and then here's the blue, and then we have an orange, and then we have, or pink, and then we have a green. And connecting them together makes a polymer. All right, so that is our last organic family. And then we're going to continue on with our reactions and enzymes.